Hello. Hi. Welcome. We're on a whole new planet with this other book. Welcome. Thank you for being in here with me. Thank you for watching. If you're in here, we are diving into a completely new book compared to the one that we have been doing the last couple of weeks. But this one is a lot of fun. I think people who may not be too much into the whole spiritual woo-woo-ness of literature might be more into this one because it's more physical and just a funny book about a funny guy and a funny relationship and a very beautiful relationship between two people and how they created an amazing movie together, a couple amazing movies together. It's very, very awesome. So I'm going to tune in and then we can get started. I look so ridiculous. Alright. Cool. So this book is called The Disaster Artist. Okay? There's a lot that has happened that has brought this book beforehand that has allowed this book to fall into my hands. There's a book called The Room, and you really just have to watch it in order to really understand what's happening here. Just watch The Room. If you get anything from this right here, right now, if you have not, go watch The Room. Wherever you can find it, watch The Room. And then on Netflix, I need you to watch The Disaster Artist, the movie, which is where actual professional actors pretend to be the people in the room making The Room, which is basically based off of this actual book. That I didn't know. I didn't even know that there was a book until recently. So when I found out that that entire The Disaster Artist movie was based off of a book, I was like, ah! I lost my mind. So that is what brought this into my possession. I've never read it. My mom started reading it and she really, really liked it. So I'm really, really, really excited. And she read me a couple pieces of it and he's hilarious. There's probably going to be a lot of words that I can't pronounce correctly because he has a wide vocabulary and I'm not that smart. But I'll do my best. Let's get started. First, I'm going to read the fantastic writing that's in the front and also in the back because it's amazing. Okay, so at the very, very, very top, from the Huffington Post, which I'm not familiar with, but I'm sure some people are, said, "This could possibly be the most important piece of literature ever printed." And then the top, it says right here, The Disaster Artist, my life inside the room, the greatest bad movie ever made. So a lot of people associate The Room with being like literally like the worst movie, but it's also like the best at the same time. The best bad movie ever. The hilarious and inspiring story of how a mysterious misfit got past every roadblock in the Hollywood system to achieve success on his own terms. A $6 million cinematic catastrophe called The Room. Los Angeles Review of Books said that this is hilarious and unexpectedly moving. Los Angeles Times said it's one of the most honest books about friendship I've read in years. RollingStone.com said, I laughed so hard reading The Disaster Artist that I cried. If I cry during this, it's over. And TheWire.com said, disaster porn, inspiring. Let us begin, shall we? Author's note. It's not chapter 1 yet. Imagine a movie so incomprehensible that you find yourself compelled to watch it over and over again. You become desperate to learn how, if, on earth, it was conceived. Who made it? And for what purpose? This book is about what might be the world's most improbable Hollywood success story. As it's centered, has an enigmatic filmmaker who claims, among many other things, to be a vampire. This man speaks with a thick European accent, from which he will not identify. He also refuses to reveal his age or the origins of his seemingly vast fortune. His name is Tommy Wiseau. I say Wiseau, I know that it's actually like Wazo, but I don't say that. I say Wiseau. Sorry. This is how I'm going to say it. And the film he wrote, directed, produced, starred in, and poured $6 million into is a disastrous specimen of a cinematic hubris called The Room. The Room is, despite the simple plot, perhaps the most casually surreal film ever made. To put it simply, The Room doesn't work in any way films have evolved to work over the last century of filmmaking. It's filled with red herrings, shots of locations that are never visited, an entire conversation comprised of non-sequiturs. It is essentially one gigantic plot hole. For many, experiencing The Room is both wildly exhilarating and supremely dislocating. The film engenders an obsessive fascination, instantly luring you into its odd... I need to calm down. Into its odd world. It's a cautionary tale about love and friendship, but it becomes something entirely and perfectly literal, a comedy of errors. Yet since its 2003 release, The Room has spread across the United States and now the world with viral unstoppability. Many people believe that The Room's unfathomable incompetence elevates it to something like a bizarro world brilliance. Oh my gosh, it has its inadequacy and its peerless ability to induce an uncontrollable laughter from beginning to end. It may be the most wonderfully terrible 1 hour and 39 minutes ever committed to the celluloid. Big words, Greg. You're challenging me. And I was in it. In 1998, as a 19-year-old aspiring actor, I enrolled in an acting class in San Francisco. It was there that I met this Tommy Wiseau. An encounter that had an unforeseeable impact on the direction of my entire life. Tommy and I were opposites in just about every conceivable way, though we shared a common dream, a career in entertainment. The chance meeting, this inspired a journey neither I nor anyone else could have ever imagined. This book is a personal account of that journey, and one that led to the phenomenon that is The Room. It is, I hope, a tale of heart, sadness, and blind artistic courage. The story it tells is much about the power of believing in oneself, as it is about the perils that can arise in conquering your self-imposed limitations. The conversations and events depicted are true, and they have been rendered as I recall them. The material in this book, not derived from my observations and experiences, is the documented results of the on-record interviews with Tommy and other persons concerned. I have also used the reference of the room's original script, photographs, and hours of behind-the-scene production footage. The footage in particular was used to accurately describe scenes related to the filming process. Minimal liberties have been taken to streamline the narrative. In combining some conversations or events, I have done so with the hope of maintaining their integrity while also accurately capturing their mood and spirit. Ew. Upon its debut, The Room was a spectacular bomb, pulling in all of $1,800 during its initial 2-week Los Angeles run. It wasn't until the last week of the film's short release that the seeds of it eventually had culture salvation had been planted. While passing to the movie theater, 2 young film students named Michael and Scott noticed a sign on the ticket booth that read, "No refunds." Below the sign was this blurb from a review: "Watching this film is like getting stabbed in the head." They were sold. The Room mesmerized them. They rallied others to experience the film, and soon enough a cult was born. This is amazing. These young men and women created many of The Room's new famous audience participation rituals, and for several years served as the vanguard of an unofficial underground fan club. This is where I belong. They simply wouldn't let the film die, going so far as to camp outside of the theater on demand. The combination of their enthusiasm and Tommy's hapless marketing made the film an LI in-joke and an entertainment industry curiosity. Before long, the cream of Hollywood's comedy community developed a particular affinity towards this film, hosting private room parties. Slowly, the film cult status gained momentum, and by 2009, The Room had entered the mainstream. It was featured in Entertainment Weekly, CNN, Fox News, and the ABC World News. Why? It also began airing annually on national television. Following the media blitz, The Room emerged as a top-selling independent film, and to this day, it's screened to sold-out crowds worldwide. This makes me so happy to hear. Okay. It's still going strong. I know, it's getting better. The magic of The Room derives from one thing. No one interprets the world the way that Tommy Wiseau does. He's the key to The Room's mystery as well as the engine of its success. Tommy has always predicted his film would become a classic, embraced worldwide, a notion that could not have seemed less likely, yet he was right. The Room became every bit of a blockbuster that he had envisioned, though not of course in the way that he had envisioned. Oh my gosh, that's perfect. Despite The Room's reputation as the Citizen Kane of bad movies, Tommy continues to believe that his is the greatest film of all time. In the end, the phenomenon of The Room has allowed me to realize that in life, literally anything is possible. The Room is a drama that is about a comedy that is also an existential cry for help that is finally a testament to human endurance. It had me reconsider what defines artistic success and failure. If art is expression, can it really ever fail? Is success simply a matter of what one does with failure? Many of us want to embark on a creative life and never take a chance. We're too stifled by our self-awareness or a fear to try. All the odds were against Tommy, with him becoming a filmmaker. Yet something pushed him to go for it. Something powerful enough to inspire a global phenomenon. 10 years after wrapping the room and living my life in its strange wake, I realize how much the experience has changed me and how grateful I am for that. By now, millions of people have stood before me, and they've seen the mysterious closed door that is the room. They're peering through the keyhole with a mixture of joy and bewilderment. My hope is that I have unlocked this door and welcomed everyone, at long last, inside. Greg Sestero, October 2012. When the world ended, remember, guys? Alright, so this is chapter 1. Are you ready? That was just the introduction. We go to chapter 1. Oh, hi, Mark. Tommy Wiseau has always been an eccentric dresser. But on a late summer night in 2002, I was 3 years old. He was turning the heads of every model, weirdo, transvestite, and facelift artist around Hollywood's Palm Restaurant. People could not stop looking at him. I couldn't stop looking at him. Even today, a decade later, I still can't unsee Tommy's outfit. Nighttime sunglasses, a dark blazer as loose and baggy as rain gear, sand-colored cargo pants with pockets filled to their capacity. Was he smuggling potatoes? A white tank top, clunky Frankenstein combat boots, and 2 belts. 2. Yes, 2 belts. The first belt was at home in its loops. The second one strangely draped down the back to cup Tommy's backside, which was, as he always claimed, the point. It keeps my ass up. Plus it feels good. And then there was Tommy himself. Short and muscular. His face is lumpy and white as an abandoned draft of a sculpture. His enormous snow shovel jaw. His long, thick, impossibly black hair. Seemingly dyed in magic marker ink and constantly sopping wet. Moments before we walked in, Tommy had dumped a bottle of Arrowhead water all over his head to keep this poofy stuff from afflicting his considerable curls. He also had refused to let the Palm Valet park his silver SL 500 Mercedes-Benz, worried that the guy would fart in his seat. At this point, I'd known Tommy for just about half a decade. Tommy and I looked more like Marvel comic nemesises than people who could ever be friends. I was tall, sandy blonde, Northern California kid. Tommy, meanwhile, appeared to have been grown somewhere dark and moist. I knew exactly where Tommy and I fit among the Palm's mixture of Hollywood sharks, Manoas, and tourists. I was 24 years old. That meant that we had at least 30 minutes to wait. Oh, when they were at the, restaurant. I was 24 years old. Like Tommy, that meant that we had at least 30 minutes to wait for a table. Upon entering the restaurant, I could see various diners consulting their mental Rolodexes, trying to place Tommy. Oh my god. I don't want to wait in line, Tommy said, speaking to me over his shoulder. He marched over to the hostess. I kept my distance, as I always do at times like this, and I waited for the inevitable moment for Tommy to speak to the person to whom that he was... in which Tommy spoke, and the person to whom he was speaking, trying to make the geographical sense of his pronunciation, which sounded like an Eastern European accent that had been hit by a Parisian bus. The hostess asked Tommy if he had reservations. Oh yes, he says. We have table reservation. And what's the name? She said, slightly sarcastically. But only slightly, because who knew whether Rat was on the verge of releasing a greatest hits album? Her job required a careful hedging one's fame-related bets. Ron, he said. She checked her list. Sorry, she said, tapping her pencil on the page. There's no Ron here. Oh, sorry, Tommy said. It's Robert. She looked down. There's no Robert here either. He laughed. Haha. Wait, I remember now. Let's try John. The hostess found the name John near the bottom of her list. John, she said. Party of 4. Yes, Tommy said, summoning me over to bring him one party member closer to accuracy. I don't know who John Party of 4 actually was, but the hostess snagged a wine menu and began walking us to our table. That's horrible. I followed Tommy and the hostess through the Palm's dim interior and looked at the dozens of movie stars that lined in the walls. There was Jack Nicholson, O.J. Simpson, which made me wonder, what exactly did you have to do to get banished from the wall of the Palm? I noticed some starry faces sitting on the tables too. Well, maybe not starry, but mid-sized astray phenomenon. Sports broadcasters, sports illustrators, and hosts from the ABC local news. There were also a lot of faces unknown to me, but obviously connected. There were mostly middle-aged men and women talking show business and conversational levels. The real show business type of stuff. The waiters were all older, beefy guys who smelled of expensive aftershave and big, white, manicured nails. They were such smooth operators. They all managed to convince you that it didn't matter that you weren't famous. The air in the Palm was very expensive. Everything, other than the food, tasted like money. Excuse me, Tommy said, after the hostess showed us to our table. Excuse me, but no, I don't sit here. I want booth. Tommy always insisted on a booth. Sir, our booths are reserved. But Tommy was nothing, if not at all, or ever, unrelenting. I think the hostess figured that she had two options: give Tommy a booth or call animal control. Through the combination of lying, grandstanding, and bullying, Tommy and I were now seated in a booth in the nicest section of the Palm. As soon as Tommy sat down, he flagged someone down and he said that he was starving and ready to order. I don't work here, the person said. Whenever Tommy is in a restaurant, he always orders a glass of hot water. I've never seen a waiter or waitress do anything but balk at such a request. Here's how the Palm's how the Palms waiter handled it. I'm sorry. Did you say a glass of Tommy hot water? Yes, this is what I'm saying. A lemon, maybe? Or look, why you give me a hard time? Do I speak Chinese? This. Just want to come... Oh. Hold on. I was like, what did I just do? A simple request. My God, are you tipsy or something? And more bread with raisin stuff. We were at the Palm to celebrate. The following morning, official production would be on the room. The film Tommy had conceived, written, produced, casted, and was now directing and set to star in. If you had known Tommy as long as I had, the beginning of the room's production was a miracle of biblical significance. I had worked on the film with him on and off since its inception. My most recent and intense job in the film was working with his line producer. When we would begin, I had no idea what a line producer even was. Neither did Tommy. Basically, I was doing anything that needed to be done. I scheduled all auditions, meetings, rehearsals. I ran the casting sessions. I helped film and find equipment. And the most challenging, I made sure that Tommy did not sabotage his own film. In a sense, I was his outside world translator, since no one knew him better than I did, and I was in charge of writing the checks that were flying out the door of his films like doves in search of dry land. Help me. For all of this, Tommy was paying me a decent wage, plus perks, which is what he would call food. With his vanity project about to begin, my plan was to walk into my $8 an hour retail job at French Connection the next day and quit. I hoped never again to find something that I wasn't going to wear myself. To fold something that I wasn't going to wear myself. So, Tommy said, taking off his sunglasses. His eyes were red with veiny lighting. Ew. We are in production. How do you feel? He started to wrangle his hair into a scrunchy, secured ponytail. It's great, I said. Tommy was looking at me directly, which didn't happen that often. He was sensitive about his left eyelid, which drooped noticeably, and he rarely held anyone's gaze. When he did talk to someone, he tried to hold his face to the left, which he thought was his best angle. Are you nervous a little bit? For what? For big day tomorrow. Should I be nervous? He shrugged. As we ate, we talked a little more, and things in the Palms started to wind down. 9 p.m., however, Tommy's noon. The Palm Valley became emptier and more sedated. He grew energetic. I had to get home for a number of reasons, not the least of which was my girlfriend Amber. She wasn't a fan of Tommy and hated it when I wasn't with her on her nights off. Tommy leaned forward. He had never touched his hot water. What do you think now about the room? I told Tommy what I thought about the room several times, which was that the script didn't make any sense. The characters' motivations changed from scene to scene. Important plot points were raised and then dropped. And all of the dialogue sounded exactly the same, which is to say that it sounded exactly like Tommy's unique understanding of the English language. But nothing I said would ever change his view of the room, so what does it matter? I thought the film offered a fascinating glimpse into his life, but I couldn't imagine anyone anywhere would be able to decipher it, let alone pay money to see it. You know what I think about the room? I said. Why are you asking me this now? Because tomorrow is a very important day. It will go to the history. Touchdown. No one can take away. Our top of mountain day. We begin to shoot. He smiled and leaned back. I can't believe this. And you really think about it. Yeah, congratulations. You deserve it. Tommy looked at me, his face slack. This, yeah, is not convincing. You're not happy? I was happy. I was also, in that moment, distracted. I had accidentally caught eye with a young brunette across the restaurant, which I think she mistakenly took as an invitation. She and her blonde friend were checking out our table, and now suddenly they're coming over. Dressed up, both of them. Heels, both of them. Young, both of them. The blonde looked like an agent's assistant, maybe meeting her slightly racier, less securely employed friend for a night of whatever they felt like they could get away with. They had sparkly eyes and hello there smiles, while holding half-drunk glasses of wine. While they were clearly not their first drinks of the evening. They motioned for Tommy and me to scoot in so that they could join us. They could join us, yes. Just wanted to come over and say hey, said the brunette. Thought you were cute. We awkwardly shook hands, introducing ourselves. Greg, Tommy, Miranda, Sam. Our booth smelled like it had been hit with a precision strike of apples and vanilla perfume. Conversations. They began. Yeah, food is great. Oh, that's so funny. My bare arm was touched once, twice. Tommy was glowering back away into some small, irritated corner, off into his own mind. He stayed there for a bit before, out of nowhere, he asked the girls, So, what do you do besides drink? Oh no! They exchanged a quick, decisive look at each other. I could almost see the mischief in their eyes flicker out at the same time. Excuse me? Miranda said. Tommy sighed. I ask what you do. Any job? Anything? What do you offer beside the vodka? Miranda looked into her wine glass questionably and then over at me. There was nothing I could say. Miranda and Sam stood up. Yes. Well, it was nice meeting you, Greg. Yes, thanks. You too. We'll see you around. Sure, take care. Yeah. After that, they left. I looked at Tommy and shook my head. Girls are crazy, he said. The waiter arrived and asked to see Tommy's identification. This was not unusual. Our bills were usually very huge. Tommy was paying with his credit card, which wasn't reading. He, however, refused to show the waiters his identification, eventually announcing, I have right under law of California. Then the waiter made it clear to Tommy that the Los Angeles Police Department was only one phone call away. He got angry and allowed the waiter to glimpse his driver license beneath a murky plastic lining in his wallet. The waiter said he was sorry, but Tommy had to remove the identification. Very disrespectful, Tommy would say. I'm sorry, but you are completely off the wall. The waiter finally acceded. Tommy stormed out, and I lingered behind, apologizing to every member of the staff that I saw. I'd become accustomed to doing this. It was how I paid for our dinners. Outside of the Palm, we waited for the valet to drive Tommy's Benz around. He had apparently forgotten about the dangers of valet farting. I dreaded the look on the valet's face when Tommy would tip him. On a $100 dinner tab, Tommy would often tip $5. Sometimes the recipients of Tommy's tips would come back to him with an air of wounded dignity and ask, "Have I done something wrong?" And Tommy would say, "Be happy with what you have." He must have been feeling a little guilty about what went down inside the pond because the valet didn't seem scandalized by the tip that Tommy had given him. We headed east on Santa Monica. The traffic was light, but Tommy was nevertheless driving at his standard speed of 20 miles below the legal limit. I wondered sometimes what drives on the freeways of greater Los Angeles thought when they passed Tommy. Expecting to see some crypt keeper lady behind the wheel, they instead see a Cro-Magnon profile, wild black hair, and Blade Runner sunglasses. Coincidentally, at the first stoplight, Miranda and Sam from the Palm pull up beside us. I look over and smile and wave. They, of course, burst out laughing. Tommy powers down the passenger window and says as loud as he can, "Ha! Ha! 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 Ha!" Horrified, they pull away from the stoplight as though from a terrible accident. I sank into my seat. This was another way in which I passed the time in Tommy's company, trying to disappear. Tommy looked over at me and he said, "You look great, by the way. Like Spartacus." Spartacus? Like Spartacus. Tommy loved movies, though I wasn't sure if he had seen anything made after 1965. I think he thought I looked like Spartacus because for the first time in my life I was wearing a beard. While working on the casting of The Room, which took months longer than it should have, I had let the beard, along with my relationship, just sort of go. Though Amber hated it, I had grown to like the beard. There was something invigoratingly like a Viking about it. "Spartacus?" I said at that point. I had never seen Spartacus, but I was gathering that Tommy's observation could be accurate. A few years later, I finally watched it. Spartacus does not have a beard. The car began to roll forward again. "So listen now," Tommy says. "This is very important. You have to do The Room." "I am doing The Room." "That's not what I mean. I mean you must act in The Room. Perform. You have to play Mark." We've been over this many, many times. Tommy claims that he's written the part of Mark, who is in the script, who betrays his best friend, Johnny, Tommy's character, by sleeping with Johnny's future wife, Lisa. For me, I was never sure how to take this. In the 4 years that I had known Tommy, he had come to my aid on numerous occasions. If it weren't for him, I would have never moved to Los Angeles. Now he was making a film that meant the world to him, so I was happy to help him. But act in it? That was an entirely different level of obligation. I knew what good films looked like. The Room was not going to be a good film. It was probably going to require divine intervention just for Tommy to finish the thing. This was to say nothing for the fact that the role of Mark had already been casted to someone else. "What do you think about this?" Tommy asked. "I think," I said, "that Don is already playing Mark?" The actor's name was Don, but Tommy always called him... Oh, his name was Dan, but Tommy always called him Don, so I had to refer to him that way too. Tommy was quiet for a while. Gobs of oncoming headlight filled the car and withdrew. We were now traveling 10 miles below Tommy's standard 20 miles below the standard speed limit. all while he veered into other lanes. Men on bicycles were passing us. The cars were honking at us as they should have been. "What if we do something?" Tommy said. "What if we give you very good money?" We? The leadership structure of Wazoo Films was simple. Tommy was the founder, president, chief, executive officer, legal department, brand manager, administrative assistant, phone answerer, and mail opener. He claimed to have 4 other producers backing him up on the room, but no one, including me, had met them. A few months before, Tommy had referred me the salary title of the vice president of Wazoo Films, and even though so far as the print business cards have my name on them, I politely declined that offer. Tommy was now stopped at a green light with his brights on. I motioned for him to drive, but he was busy being incredibly determined to convince me to play Mark. "Just listen to what I say. Forget the honking people. What if we give you good money to play Mark? What do you say about that?" What, I wondered, what is up his sleeve here? I had called Don, in which he responded to an ad Tommy placed in the Backstage West. During the audition process, Tommy had made Don expose his bare backside, which was humiliating for him and deeply uncomfortable for the cameraman, me. For reasons that were never completely clear, Tommy did not like Don. Possibly due to his vaguely entitled rich kid vibe. Tommy was rich, but he hadn't always been, and no one disliked each other more than the circumstantially different rich. Regardless, 2 months ago, Tommy had Don signed the contract. Don had been rehearsing ever since. He even finagled a part in the film for his roommate. As far as Don or Don's roommates or anyone else involved in the room's production, I was a summer intern at the Wazoo Films. Tommy's car was still stranded at the stoplight. I could not believe that he would spring this on me hours before filming even began. I think that things were finally simple. The room was being made. Tommy had to make sure that things had to be not simple. He couldn't proceed unless he was under heavy fire and stress. Obviously. To make things worse, Don had also made friends with the other cast members, especially Brianna, who was playing a character named Michelle. If Tommy got rid of him for no reason on the day of filming, I felt certain that everyone would revolt. These were the kinds of things that tended to escape Tommy's notice. Tommy finally pulled away from the light. Within moments that we were piloting in his Benz down Santa Monica, waiting for me to say something. "I can't do it," I said. He didn't look over at me, but he said, "I always intended you to play Mark." "Okay, so you have to do it, you see? This is your chance. Don't blow it. You missed the boat." Then he looked over at me. "What's your problem?" "Don is Mark. End of conversation." Tommy turned away. "Forget this guy. He can't perform shit. The love scenes? He's plastic. There's nothing there. Everything's flat." "Love scenes? Tommy, are you kidding me?" "I say there's nothing there. I will fire this guy. No matter if I fire this guy, so this is your chance." "There's no way I'd ever do a love scene the way that you've rehearsed them. I won't do that." "Fine, then. I make special arrangement for you. During love scene, you don't have to show your ass. You keep your pants on. We do the way you feel comfortable. But this your last chance. We pay you some very good money." Tommy kept hitting the very good money point because he knew I didn't have any. Out of curiosity, but also, I suppose, out of greed, I asked Tommy what he would pay. And he told me. Huh. Is what I said. Holy shit, is what I thought. This could put me back in the game. I could stay in LA once this movie was done, and I would not have to go back home to San Francisco and be a failure. This could be the thing that I had to do so I could do what I really want to do. That's a lot of money. Are you sure? Yes. We pay very well. What would you do about Dawn? As much as I need the money, I was trying to push away this number Tommy had dropped into my lap. Everyone liked Dawn. That's him. Everyone likes Dawn. If you fire him, you'll piss everyone off. People might quit. I wanted to avoid another casting ordeal. The fact is that we have built a film with only 8 parts to be the cast. And they kept quitting. Tommy finally turned to my street, where I could see my car. Amber's car was parked behind mine. I was thinking of the car that I could finally buy with the money that Tommy had just offered me when he said, "What about we get you that new car?" Aww. The week before I tried to drive a few blocks to buy some groceries, my car broke down halfway there. I kept thinking, "Tommy," I said, "I don't know. Just let me think about it." My voice was weak, small, and therefore revealing. He had me now, and he knew it. He pulled me up to my place. "Don't worry about this Don guy. We take care of him, okay?" "You're talking like a mobster." No mobster. This is just my idea. You show tomorrow. We tell everyone Produce wants to see you on the camera for future project. We shoot you on 35-minute film. For him we say the roll film, but we shoot video. No worry. We delete everything. It's over. Very simple. It was just crazy enough. Not to work at all. "Dawn," I told Tommy, "we'll figure out in 10 minutes what's really going on." Don't worry about that. We take care of it. At that point, I told myself a few things. I told myself Tommy wanted Dawn out, and I couldn't do anything to stop that. And a new car meant new confidence, and new confidence meant better auditions. Better auditions meant more work. This movie was probably never going to be finished, and it certainly wasn't going to be released. And pushing Dawn out of the film would be doing him a favor, really. "Greg," Tommy said, "I don't have time for games. I need response." "Give me an hour," I said, and I got out of the car. Immediately, I noticed Amber standing up from the door of my building. I could tell from her expression that she was about to leave because she was sick of waiting for me, sick of Tommy, sick of the room, and sick of my beard. It occurred to me, as I walked towards her, that I had let my beard come in not only because of the room's casting process overwhelming me, but maybe also because I liked having another barrier between me and her, which was surely why she hated it so much. She was a makeup artist from San Diego who prided herself on being a cool chick, and she was a cool chick. She had dark, wavy hair. It was feisty in a way that short girls with confidence can be feisty. Spicy, feisty. Stare you down, feisty. She'd stare me down all the time, even though I had about a foot on her. We'd been dating for 1.5 years, and it was time to either move in together or move on. Unhappily, I didn't want to do either. A month previously, I had sort of preempted the move in or move on conversation by using the money that Tommy was paying me to lease an apartment in the old Hollywood building with a dense palm tree perimeter and a great view in the hills. Amber loved the place so much that she started spending all of her time there. Well, hello, she said coolly. What took you so long? Guess. Tommy was pulling away now after awkwardly staring for too long. He beeped. Not a fun little bye-bye beep, but a long, sustained beep. So, she said, her arms folded. How's Tommy? Whatever Amber and I had, she was obviously as close to being over it as I was, which oddly hurt. Tommy was now at the end of the street, beginning an agonizing turn, still beeping. At least now there were little beeps. Beep, 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 beep. Bye, Tommy. Amber watched with an expression of disgust as his Benz disappeared from the corner. Greg, she said, what is this Tommy thing getting you? He's taking over our lives. Try something else. Get the job at AE Sports that you're always talking about. Being around Tommy is just too hard on you. Tommy, I said, just offered me the role of Mark. Her head was shaking. She was still on guard. So? He offered you the part like 100 times. Yeah, but this time he offered to pay me for it. Her head was no longer shaking. How much? I told her, at which she became very quiet. Above us, wind flapped in the palms. And a car, I said. He also offered to buy me a new car. Amber looked puzzled. Isn't somebody already playing Mark? I described Tommy's absurd scheme. We stood there, looking at each other. I assumed that she thought I was a terrible person for even considering it. I decided to tell Tommy no thanks. Okay, I said, turning to go inside. I'll go tell him. Amber was still looking at me. Tell him what? I froze. What do you think I should tell him? I think you should tell him yes. You're going to be on a set all day anyway, right? Fuck it. Do it. I was shocked. You want me to do it? Yeah. Do you think the other guy would give a shit about you if the situation was reversed? I don't know, honestly. Maybe I would have. I don't know. Nothing about it feels right. It's a lot of money. Amber was right about that. We have been struggling, and remember, I thought it to myself, Don is a rich kid. Actually, I had no idea if Don was a rich kid. It just seemed like he was. And right now I was very fond of that impression. You're right, I said. I'll do it. Good, Amber said. There was, I noticed, no joy or victory in her voice. And we walked inside. The phone was heavy in my hand. While Tommy's cell rang, I imagined him making one of his semi-truck slow turns onto another street. No, he was probably still driving down Fountain, the next street over. When Tommy picked up, I asked him where he was. I'm on the Fountain, he said. So what's the story? I have no time to beat the bush. I'll do it, I said. Greg, Tommy said. I think you make great decision. And that is chapter 2. Or chapter 1. The next one's chapter 2. You guys, isn't that amazing? I love this book so much. It's hilarious. So good, right? I like it. I love it. I'm so excited to read more. I would love to hear your guys' input on it, especially if you're watching it in the YouTube comments. I just want to hear what you think about it. What your thoughts on it, especially if you've seen The Room and you're a part of the cult and the fan base and you know what it's all about. Please, let's be friends. Better than I thought it would be. I know. It's amazing. Yay. How awesome. So cool. fantastic. Yay! Thank you guys so very much. The writing is awesome. That's what I was saying. He's such a fantastic, the way that he is able to describe people and like their personalities and situations, like it really brings a whole like objective perspective of the entire situation. It brings everything together. It's like, wow, he was the perfect guy to play Mark, to be the person, to be Tommy's best friend throughout that whole room process, because nobody else was as close to him as Mark was, and Mark is like the perfect person to be able to witness the strangeness that is Tommy Wiseau and be able to document and articulate it in a way that creates this beautiful book. So, he's fantastic. Alright. I'm afraid to turn my thing off right now because I don't want my time to be... I want to turn the time off at exactly 9 o'clock. So we have 3 more minutes left. So maybe, I don't know. Here's another thing. If you have not watched The Room, do it now. Like, I don't care. Whatever you need to do to be able... If you have not seen The Room by now at this point, in order for you to really experience the joy that is this book, you gotta watch The Room, okay? Do it. And then look up the playlist and dance to it, because it's a really good playlist. Read some reviews. Oh, I actually do think there are some reviews in the front. Okay, here are some of the reviews. Hilarious and often poignant. If you're looking for a memoir, unlike anything you've ever read, don't hesitate to pick up this book. Someone else said, the disaster artist delivers an even-handed portrayal of Wiseau and an even more in-depth portrayal of the Room superfans they have ever dreamed of learning about this craggy, pale-faced idol. Pale-faced idol. It's a little rude. You need to buy the book? Yes! Do it. A surprising, hilarious, and compelling account of the making of the modern Plan 9 from outer space. What? Make no mistake about it. The Disaster Artist is terrific. Every page is a treasure that reveals more background information for one of cinema's most famous of train wrecks. Honestly, I was laughing out loud. This is hilarious and really shows the side of Hollywood and film business that you have never seen before. I cannot recommend this book enough. Sestero, this is a surreal filmmaking experience. 10 years later, with grace, you have handled this with intelligence and thoughtfulness. He has a blissful way of putting together an eloquent, wry, and absolutely hilarious story. Wiseau's blunders and Sestero's dry observations make for a laugh-out-loud experience within each chapter. I love it. Awesome. Cool. Well, this was fantastic. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you guys got something out of this. I did. I can't wait for chapter 2. This is a lot more lighthearted than our other book, but like each one, whatever we read, I know I'm just gonna be like head over heels for it. So I'm gonna stop fangirling and I'm gonna say, love you guys. Thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your night.